Acend, is it now?
It's not necessarily bad, but as you spoke about earlier, only 34% of the rounds on defense are being won. That is so little. We know that Siege is mainly defender favorite, right? Most of the maps are just leaning a little bit more towards the defender side. I do like to see the Thatcher being banned out, and we didn't see him banned on Khotan. He was brought so many rounds. So many potential coming out from that. Is Acend to ban him first, and that gives Mkers their second ban. We heard about earlier a Twitch potential ban, so Shade doesn't pop off as he did before. However, they're banning the Flores. On the first map, once again, we saw Acend bring out that Flores to get rid of shields. And really on a bar hole, for example, you want to hold onto your shield on top library for as long as possible.
Almost a similar operator, right? Both have drones, both have like little RC drones, but it is an explosive one instead of a zapping one that's being banned. The second ban being a Wamai here from the likes of Mkers. And if we see the last ban, it's a Valkyrie banned by Acend. No crazy bans over here, except maybe from the Flores, but you've just explained why that Flores has probably been banned.
Yeah, but now the fact that the Flores has been banned, right? You're gonna have to rely on throwable utility, like I'm talking Ace Selmas, I'm talking Ash Charges, I'm talking nades to get rid of shields on top of library.
Fong 6s.
Look at the fact that the Wamai is banned. You're going to have to rely singularly of a Jaeger. If you don't have a Jaeger set up to hold that shield, it's going to go away within a matter of a second. You don't have these magnets to throw them around the beams on the top of the ceiling to hold onto shields longer, to hold onto piano longer. That's going to be very difficult. They're going to have to rely singularly off this Jaeger. Enemy definitely bringing him out here, as it is indeed Acend on the fence. They're choosing bar, which is maybe a little bit of an offside. Usually you'll see teams pick the top floor first, but I like to see them picking bar as a first side pick here.
Yeah, and they have the alibi with the shield, which will probably be played on top of the blue stairs. I like this drone right over here. It's kind of to stop the drones from coming in through the drone holes from outside, of course. So there's I said I like the drone, but it's a mute jammer actually. It's the polar opposite of a drone. I like the mute jammers here, mute being played over here, and kind of a default setup here from Acend, of course, with that shield here on the top of blue stairs. There should be some Jaeger devices being placed here shortly as well to defend that shield. And of course an Aruni gate, which also is a little bit of a utility denial.
Yeah, something that isn't so default is the fact that we see the Finka now being brought out for Mkers. Don't think we've seen him that often before. And the Nomad. So they might be worried about a potential flank coming out from Acend. Obviously, Chalet is a map that will really allow you to roam a lot. You can be on any floor of the map, no matter what bomb site you are defending. Even running throughout the garage to go for a flank up one of those stairs could be very successful. The Nomad in play is definitely going to hold that back just a little bit. Looking at the players of where Acend are right now, one of them is around the solar area, a very early placed airship, as the players of Mkers are already looking to gain that control over library.
We see that Lalo hits one of the alibis here, and so does Gemini, so they do know that there's two players here on the roof on the side of Acend.
Wow, that's really quick.
It is indeed really quick. I mean, within 45 seconds they've cleared the shield.
That looked as if they studied, dreamed this before, but acquiescent to sleep and dreams as well. Finds the other end of the Mellow's gun. That is very unfortunate to lose your nades that quickly into the round. You saved them by not using them for the shield, and now you're losing the operator that's bringing nades onto the table. Yes, they got the control with the shield and everything gone, so they're forcing players back, but now they have the opening death on their side. Gemini patiently waiting, but Alibi just drops down. Map control could be given a little bit more towards Jamaica now, but they're losing a lot of time here.
And let's not forget that the Gemini replicators can be extremely strong against those Aruni gates. Now you have to use a little bit of your utility, and so far, and they've only have one stun remaining and two grenades. Of course, also the two smoke canisters, but those you don't want to waste. Surely you don't want to. It is now here the likes of Acend that can just sit back, hold an angle, and relax a little bit. There's nobody on the flank at the moment. Gemini has to waste one of his drones as well to get rid of that Aruni gate here.
Yeah, that's a high risk, but low reward basically what you're getting here, because you don't have those replicators that you can just send through, which you keep on generating. You're going to have to use your drones. And drones are viable to see where these 5 defenders are, because you're already down 1 man here. Ice just looking to hold control over Kitchen longer, but Mellow could also be threatened from this big bar window. Gemini now finds himself on top of the library stairs, but not a lot of pressure coming out from the players of Mkers yet. Ravon's just patiently waiting as Melo's just holding on to the hatch well, but a C4 that could come out in the hands of Shade could be very detrimental for the players above.
With only 25 seconds remaining, and they really have to get going here on the sides of Mkers. It is here, Ravon with a kill on Lalo, who does get refragged by the dropped nade here from Lalo, so a little bit of after that action here.
Saw the gun!
Oh no, it's Gemini who gets the kill on Melo. I was going to say 13, but it's only 10 seconds remaining. It's now Ice who who gets the kill on Gemini. And also Shadow is able to pick up a kill. It's a 1 versus 3 situation. Sasha with very little HP and Shadow with the second kill being huge once again here for Acend. And oh boy, we're in for a good start.
Shade showing that he is indeed that super sub that Ollie talked about earlier. Stepping up huge in that round. I was confused. Sorry that I screamed while we were talking like he saw the gun. But there was a player hiding behind the bomb sissy. And that gun was sticking out just a little bit. So it was one of the players of Mkers to clear him effectively there. I like to see how effective Mkers was as well when it came to clearing that shield on top of the library stairs. 2 flashes, a Gone 6 coming in, gone, then you're losing the operator that's got nades, which you can do a lot of damage with. Saw the clash being brought out or being opted for. They're switching it, however, to a Kate. They're going kitchen dining, which is also one of those offsites. Are they just trying to avoid going to master bedroom, tricking Mkers into thinking that they might be going there?
Well, one thing's for sure though, Anne. That Kate pick is a lot stronger now than it was on bank, of course. I mean, on bank you had the Thatcher open. Now the Thatcher is no longer open, no longer in play. So a Kate pick can be pretty strong on a map like this.
Yeah, especially on kitchen. If you look into Kate Electroclaw off that main wall towards lobby, I mean, ideally as attacker you want to take top 4 control, you want to get to lobby, then open up that wall, go for plant in kitchen. Yes, I know I'm going fast with that. But you're going to have to clear that Kite Electroclaw there. But the floor underneath that wall is not soft. You can't just shoot it from underneath. You can, however, try and shoot it from above, but you'll have to gain map control first. There is a C4 in the hands of enemy. He's likely going to be playing close to that wall, potentially to trick it with an Electroclaw, so he could as well C4 you from underneath.
It is here. Acend that's leading 1-0 on a map that's usually attacker favored. So far, Mkers has struggled on their first attack. Ooh, enemy, you need to watch out. You could have got on wall banged here because Sasha just misdroned you. It is now Lalo who's going to try and take the library, a default library take here. But Gemini is already in gaming room, and the question is, do they know that on the sides of Acend?
I'm not sure if they do. Mkers just taking their time, droning and making sure they know where the defenders are located. Still working on that roof. A lot of pre-placed drones set up to hold off potential flanks and everything, but you're wasting a lot of drones to just hold off positions, not to gain a lot of information and gain that map control.
I was going to say nobody was on cams on the defense side, but now Shade has hopped on cams and Ravon as well. You can see that by the by the UI. We now see Shade on a bulletproof cam, for example, and now switching to one of the default cams. Good, really good there. It shows that Shade really understands the game here, and because he was the first one on his team to hop on those cams, has been playing quite well. Oh, I like this. I like this.
Wow. Put that in your notebooks, guys, if you're going to play this map in rank next time. Enemies just patiently waiting to trick that wall. Sasha taking some damage as well, but they're going to have to go all the way through the basement now to take down the Kite there. Melo falling. Akui will fall as well to the gun of Shade. It's looking like an even man count, but Akui is just not having this game so far. Been the entry death for Mkers twice already. An enemy is still in the basement. No one's really contesting him, and they're losing a lot of time in the hands of Mkers. That wall isn't going to get open anytime soon. So you're now still establishing the top for control. Sasha trying to open up the hatchery and kitchen, just to force defenders out of their standard holds and standard positions. But enemy still got that C4. He could do a lot of damage from downstairs.
So both exothermic charges have been used, so he can still he can keep playing there, being Cade, because of course you can indeed throw a late C4. It is Shade though who has dropped all the way to Wine Cellar as well. Does a little bit of damage, but it's Ace that will die here to the likes of Gemini. Gemini already on a double kill. Lolo will heal his teammates, but will get killed here by Ravon. A headshot will do 100% damage, and you won't survive that. Doesn't matter how much overhealed you are. Gemini will get the refrag on Shade, and only 15 seconds remaining. Ravon is going huge here, gets the kill, and all of a sudden it's the 2 versus 2 situation. Gemini will fall to enemy, and now it's Sasha who has to clutch this up against Ravon and enemy, but a huge flank here from enemy. And now another round to Acend, and oh boy, did I like that Kate Claw.
That was really good to see. Acend is playing this map to its full potential, having players on literally every single floor when they're trying to hold onto Kitchen. Nobody on the side of Mkers was aware that the kite was downstairs. Nobody was sent there to actually get him out. You saw in the very first seconds they were trying to drone the beginning of Snowmobile, but they didn't proceed to drone it any further. I almost thought they misdroned Ravon, misdroned the kite downstairs. Didn't actually think it was that way, but still, he was able to sit downstairs so long. They had a nomad. You could have basically nomaded off the west main stairs so he couldn't come back up. There was someone holding west main stairs from underneath, and so he's able to come up there. So just things seem to slip away from the hands of Mkers here as they're not able to get their footing onto the map and not able to get rid of very viable utility on the side of Acend.
If Acend wins this round, it will be a hell of a job for Mkers to do, especially mentally. I mean, you win the first map quite convincingly, go from 6-0 to 7-3, then you start struggling. I think you're counting how many rounds they haven't won in a row, aren't you?
Yeah, exactly. I've just counted. They've lost 6 rounds in a row.
Jeez.
They need to win a round. Otherwise, it is going to hurt their mental for sure.
For sure. If they don't win this round, I think mentally they've already lost the war. It is now Acend who gets to defend yet again, and
I was checking if I was counting it right. You know, maths is difficult. You know how we always joke about you and your little counting little device that we have on the Benelux?
Counting window. Is that
a counter window? It's literal translated from
English as well.
The Netherlands, but well.
I'm gonna Google whether a counting window.
It doesn't make sense. It doesn't sound like it makes sense ever. Oh wow! Well, the players of Mkers are really expecting Acend to just yeet themselves out of the trophy window in order to catch players that are rappelling onto Solar now. Getting a view of this main door here, but I
found it. Counting window doesn't exist. It's literally just a picture of somebody counting windows, so it doesn't make sense. In Dutch, it makes a lot more sense. It is still Acend who's in the lead right over here, and for some people, that also doesn't make sense, Sam.
Oh, Scato's trying to gain some control from underneath. They're now sending players of Mkers onto all these 3 different floors as well. The side is upstairs. They're looking to go for a solar take, but there is Ace still downstairs. Looking at that big window, if Gemini ends up rappelling onto this in the wrong way, he could get picked off really easily. Sasha, however, has found himself onto top of Solar. He's going for that breach here towards closet, towards master bedroom. Ice is still playing very carefully, knows he's got a lot of time in his hands to potentially do a lot of damage. Waits to C4 over on the side of Shade, and no more C4s in the hands of Acend.
I'm afraid if Acend wins here, we might hear the national French anthem, because it is getting rowdy here. It's one of the French teams who will try to fight another day, and then the French are still in, right? You'll have replied. Oh my goodness! Just as I was about to say, the French are still in. Gemini is like, you know what? Italy needs a little pushback, and with that, a double kill, huge double kill there from Gemini. It is now a 5 versus 3. We've seen Mkers struggle before. We've seen Mkers struggle before in a 5 versus 3. Especially against a team such as Reply Totem, but this time they just seem to bringing it back.
Ooh, Ravon also trying to bring it back there, but Shade is in a position where he isn't able to be picked up. Sasha's just going to go for the plan. There's no C4s left in play. Beautiful cover coming out as well. Gemini, however, loses the gunfight to Ravon. The cover from the big window is gone, but the plant is down, and now they have to play it safely. In the mean process, Shade has been picked up as well, so 3 versus 3. A beautiful shot from Shade out to Akui. Thermite goes down, and Scato is only left in a 1v3. Has the control from downstairs, but is working the shots.
Ravon!
It's Melou with the last kill. Ravon with the last kill. I'm saying the diffuser already going down in the process as well.
Mentally
this really
ruined.
Slipped out of the hands of Mkers. They had the diffuser down, had that control, but players are being picked off one by one. And Acend is looking really strong on Chalet so far.
Mentally ruined, and Mkers. Wow! You get the diffuser down. It's a 5 versus 3, and rightfully so. We have a timeout being called here by Mkers. Wow! Even I need that timeout. Even I do.
You need to calm down for just a little bit. Take a deep breath. I'm not seeing that much adaptation coming out from Mkers. We've seen a Kui being entry death a few times. He's still playing the Yana. You might want to switch those operators around a little bit. A lot of information gathering. Nades that aren't being used because the Yana just keeps on being entry death. I mean, probably not in the third round. They seem to have a little bit more of control, right? They only tried to get into the side with the little bit of solar control that they had and their player rappelling onto big window. Shade got injured. It didn't look like Shade was being able to pick back up, but then the player on the big window, Gemini, lost a gunfight. You're just putting like in the words and like miming what I'm saying. What Put more passion into this. I like it.
What the hell? And you don't lose those.
No, but I'm gonna just point out what I said at the beginning of this map, right? I had a bad feeling for this for the Mkers fans. It's kinda
coming true, huh? Your prediction. Well, my prediction is coming true, but I mean your gut feeling, like, all right, guys, I'm not too sure about that, is also coming true. Wow. Hey, we've seen worse things happen. I mean, last round Mkers was 3-0 up. They brought it back. Something similar could happen here, right?
Yeah, I was saying on a little adaptation coming out on the side of Mkers. However, now they've switched the Thermite into a Hibana. Just thinking as to why that could be, because now the side is bar again. As Mkers, you can be aware that they're going back to bar because they've just won 3 sites, allowing them to go back to their first site pick. So hatches might already be opened up by default. Are you going to try and get some walls open or something? Maybe around office to gain that initial top 4 control there to push further onto library. I want to see a just as effective clear on that shield there, but this time they need to save bodies on the side of Mkers, because if you find yourself in that early man disadvantage, going for that full-on top floor take and just getting the upper hand with the hatch and everything, you saw Mkers struggle. They didn't know where to push from last time, already trying to take bar.
They really didn't. So question is, do they know now? I mean, one thing they did really well, Anne, was clear that shield within 45 seconds.
Yeah. Speed running, clearing shields,
exactly.
any percent.
And then just stopping, right? Like 404 error has occurred or something. Like, okay, we've cleared the shield, what now? Wow, Mkers with their back against the wall. They haven't won a round in, if I've been counting correctly, 8 rounds in a row? Is that true?
I don't like doing maths when I'm under pressure because I know it's going to go wrong.
Let's not do it live. It's Mello here who clears one of the drones, does get droned out, so has to reposition himself, was playing near that fluke window. Speaking about the fluke window, we have Akwi on Solarium window repelling in. Should know that there's still somebody upstairs, not right next to him, but potentially in the library.
Yeah, it's okay to just not have someone playing aggressively around Solar. You can let them take Solar, that's fine. As long as they don't get closer towards Piano. Piano's really that viable or essential pressure point where it could switch either teams. But a lot of players downstairs. Enemy was in West Main just before. Now rotating all the way back down to the main stairs. I still downstairs as well. Really using the map to its full potential with all that roam possibilities. The shield still there on top library. Now they're trying to get this wall open to off so they could potentially peek towards the shield. Also trying to clear it now. But this isn't going into the Speed World records here.
No, it definitely isn't. We will see a nade here clear that shield. But nobody is behind that shield anymore. So they've wasted a lot of utility trying to clear this nade. But also wasted a lot of time here, Anne, because a minute and 45 seconds have already been wasted. And so far no damage has been done just yet. Mello will take a little bit of damage, but that little bit of damage is not enough. Mello's still in play here and can stall Mkers just a little bit longer. We'll fight till he dies over here, because I don't see him rotating back to side. Just as I said, it's the caster's curse. He does rotate back to side.
I'm a little bit concerned if I look at the clock. 50 seconds remaining for the players of Mkers. They've got the top 4 control established. Now working on these verticals. That might be a little bit late into these rounds. Still some nades in the hands, as I'm saying, but Ravon just picks off Scatto here. 1 set of nades dropping, and Yana's looking to push down main stairs. Ice could swing him right here. There's still a player in kitchen as well. Little to no map control for Akwi, as he just has to force himself further to this side. Pulls out one of those nades. Might still be Some ADSs onto the side. Nate, however, making an end to the life of Ace. His enemy
Here
has to
comes the
push
roamer.
back. Might pick a key of guard, but it's a Kui to have the upper hand on enemy. Kui going massive so far. Has to push himself onto the side now. 9 seconds remaining. Player drops for the diffuser. Mellow falling as well. Sasha going for that diffuser, but Shade is able to pick up one into Kui.
No chance. Oh, I thought for a second it was being turned around over here. But it's not. Finally, Mkers wins a round, and that tactical timeout did work in their advantage, and it's a 3-1 score count right now. Still in the advantage of Acend, but surely this will give Mkers a little bit of a confidence boost.
It was much needed for them to win one round. It's expected, I guess, to win one of these rounds now that Acend has had a full-on successful side rotate. You know what to adapt onto. You know what to do better when you're going to have to attack bar once again. It was really looking like a slow take coming out from Mkers. Not that aggressive, just clearing that shield immediately, losing one of your lives very early. Just slow, controlled, making sure you have that information, just forcing players out by having someone rappel upside down on the library window. I don't think that the Oryx was expecting that player to be there. They felt really pressured and had to drop down. Just a slow but good take coming out from Mkers.
We're going back to kitchen.
Yeah, it's my territory. Sorry.
Go on. You know, a little bit of a self-humor. I mean,
yeah,
you know, that's what the haters say when you're streaming, right?
Yeah, I love it when they say that, and then I just end up picking kitchen as a side, and we win the round.
You do it on purpose. You say, you know what, guys, let's go to my territory and pick kitchen.
Yeah, and you have to thank them for the great strat tip afterwards.
To be honest, though, a little bird told me that your territory is almost diamond.
Oh yeah, I'm trying.
1 game.
No, 2 games. I lost my diamond game yesterday, so it happens. It's fine.
You know, never tell your enemy in all chat that you're playing for a diamond game, because they'll start sweating. They'll start bringing Dokkaebi, Blitz, you know, the whole shebang ying.
I mean, these teams are not playing for diamond game, but they're playing for potential elimination from Challenger League. We can't have one of the biggest favorites, Mkers, being eliminated now, can we? I mean, they're down 1-3 on this final map. They need to start winning rounds. They need to start bringing themselves back. Otherwise, they might have a very bad end of this day. Definitely.
I don't think they'll be sleeping okay. I don't think half of Italy will be sleeping okay if Mkers blows it here. It is Akwi with the opening frag on Mellow, and that's an important one. That means that the Malusi is off the board. He's probably already placed down his utility. Can now go on drone duty, but Mellow can be impactful. We've seen him pull it off before. Revon on 7 kills already, and so it's not an end. You know, it's not an end of the round here for Acend just yet, because there's enough fragging power on the side of Acend to bring this back.
Yeah, but this is exactly what we were talking about in the pre-show. Revon maybe not having the strongest showing in the previous games that they played, but he is now really stepping up for his team exactly when they need it most, when they can't allow themselves to lose any more rounds. Another slow but controlled take coming out from Mkers as they're still trying to establish that top 4 control. That hatch is reinforced, so they're going to have to get rid of the electric claw, because this time they can't have that exothermic charge to put it next to the hatch to open it. They only have to rely off the Hibana pellets. Scatter doing some reconstructioning around bathroom here, making sure there's nobody in West Main.
Only a minute left here, and so far Mkers have been able to find 1 kill. They are slowly but surely being a little bit of a Bob the Builder mode and opening some vertical angles. It's now Shade who's trying to do some damage back, but it is indeed Revon being huge. But Lalo with the refrag, 4 versus 3 situation. Enemy has to rotate back to side, and Shade is going for an aggressive peek here. Finka, are you aware that there's a player there? No, you're not, but finish him off! Shade, you don't finish him off, and that means that Finka can be picked up soon again. It's an effective 2 versus 3 situation. Sasha needs to try and get his teammate back up, but doesn't know where to find him, and now Shade says, you know what, Sasha, if you're not going to peek aggressively, I'm just going to peek Lalo and get that kill confirmed. And so he does. It's a 1 versus 3 situation, all up to Sasha now in a clutch situation.
Sasha has a diffuser, but about 50 HP won't be a lot to engage in 3 more gunfights or just run onto the side with the diffuser. It's not going to happen. 10 seconds left in the play. Smoke as there being a lot of side blocking here. But Acend picking up just 1 more round here. To be honest, they might have just been toying around a little with the Finka, using them as bait, because would they wanted to pick up that Finca? They had to sprint past West Main. There were a lot of lines of sight that the defenders still had. They could have easily swung off a attacker just running through West Main to pick up the Finca there. There wasn't a lot of time to pick them up. He can use them as bait just to get those easy picks onto the players of Mkers, and that was exactly what it looked like.
Yeah, I mean, somebody could have vaulted through the window, but that would give a sound cue, right? So indeed, I mean, it's a little bit of a bait. If somebody did vault through the window, you hear that that person vaulted through, and that's probably picking up the operator, and then you can just swing and potentially get a double kill there. The Oryx is getting 6-pick to your favorite operator, and so tell us a little bit about Frost.
Frost is just such good potential on Chalet. There's so many windows you can put the Frost mats in. There's staircases where you can put the Frost mats on. And definitely looking back at the previous take that Mkers did for Bar, this could be huge. All of the players just rappelled into Solar Window. If you have some Frost mats there and you don't join them out because it's 6-pick and you might not know that they have a Frost, that could be huge. Put some Frost mats on the Fluke jump in. Put some Frost mats on the Library jumps in. If you don't know they're there, you're going to get your ankles trapped, and that's going to hurt a lot. Do you know the feeling when you step onto a Legos?
Yes.
Would that be more painful than stepping in a Frost mat?
Everything is, I mean, nothing is more painful than stepping on a Lego.
I reckon getting your ankles just grasped on by the Frost mat.
I was telling you guys about the surgeries I've had in my life. I've had about 2 or 3. They've been painful, but nothing beats stepping on a Lego.
All right, I think Mkers losing this will be the equivalent for them of stepping onto a Legos.
I think so too. I think it'll be, maybe that will beat stepping on a Lego. Enough talking about that, and let's talk a little bit more about this situation right here. Mkers against the wall, with their back against the wall, and it looks like Acend might actually be able to close this hand because they've won 4 rounds on defense, something that no team does on Chalet.
Yeah.
Or almost no team does on Chalet if we look at the statistics. 34% win rate for the defenders. Acend made it a whole lot more.
Yeah, that's just weird if you look at how well both teams have been on their attack so far. Those maps, Mkers were really structured when it came to attack. Drone a player out, spot the player, get rid of the player, and then just repeat that 5 times. Now, they're struggling. Their map control seems to come really, really slow. Eyes, he's been sitting in this kitchen quite a few times. However, there's information on him now. They know that he's there. Player doing advanced yogas on the trophy stairs as well, if you see how the leg is just situated there. But they might have some nates. They might be able to get the kill.
You can have the information, but if you don't do anything with it, the information becomes quite useless. I think somebody will try to go to the trophy window here and get the kill on him, but he has already left, and you know, you've just wasted nades. Sometimes having intel can also slow you down, right? And because they can say, hey, wait a second, there's somebody in kitchen, somebody needs to rotate, or we need to do something about that person in kitchen, and it kind of slows your attack down because, I mean, there's another thing that you have to deal with right now. It's Ice who's slowly going to try and rotate up, and have they just forgotten about him, or is there a air jab somewhere there? No, he's just wasting time. He's playing this perfectly, Anne.
Yeah, and there isn't really a threat of him throwing a C4 since it's an Aruni. We know that Aruni doesn't have C4s and can't really do much from underneath. But Time, once again, is looking like a slow take. There are these Frostmen still. Mellow with a beautiful line of sight could go aggressive onto Office. Does let the players know that he might be playing close around there, but sits safely around here, having to throw out nades from Mkers now as Scatter's running in, but he doesn't know that Frost is there. Frost with 1 kill immediately getting traded out though. So we're looking back at a 4-4 man count, but Scatter, look at that, he's going 0-6. It's not looking good. He died just once again, and Lalo just looking to force himself through that bar window. But the players of Acend still have really good positioning and the potential to hold these lines of sight into the jump in.
Yeah, it's Scatto dying here first, and it's a 4 versus 4 situation. Oh no, he almost missed that as well. A double kill here by Gemini. Gets the kill on the alibi, and that's important. That means that Ravon is no longer in play. One of the impact players on the side of Acend. Enemy can do some damage here, but the diffuser is about to go down. Can it be stopped? Can it be stopped? Ice! Ice, you see him! You know where he is, but no, he doesn't. And now it's a 2 versus 2 situation, post-plan situation. Sasha gets the kill on enemy, and it's all up to the substitute player, Shade, who has to try and clutch this up. But, and look at all the players on the... Is he going to stick it?
Surely Finca will get the sound cue, right? Nate tossing out. That might mean that Shade has to re-pick this. Knows there's one player above. Now goes for the C4 toss. But Lalo was sitting very safely, waiting for another anti-defuse coming out from Shade, tossing in a nade. They're playing around with him, but this will not be enough time as Lalo to peek that, knowing that the nade might just come out a little bit too late. And they get the kill onto Shade here. Not much he could do there, as it was a really good post-planned positioning. 3 times a word with a P here for Mkers. They are now looking at a 2-4 attacking split. That is weird on a map like Chalet.
It is indeed quite weird, but hey, it's Acend now who gets the attack. So they kind of have an ace up their sleeve, and that ace is that they, that statistically the attackers win more.
Statistically, but look at this game so far.
They just need to win 3 of the 6 rounds here. 3 of the 6 rounds, and they proceed and can play against Reply Totem. The battle of kind of the Frenchies, it might become.
I don't want to be in a TeamSpeak of Mkers at the moment. I don't think it's very cozy in there.
I don't think so either. But hey, it's a very experienced team. We've seen them, pull off some crazy comebacks, and perhaps this is one of them. I mean, after all, they've played at the 6 Invitational, so what can be more pressure than the 6 Invi, right? This shouldn't be as much pressure as that is. What do you think? I mean, actually, fair point made by Acend by Demo earlier is that they used to be the underdog when they were at the 6 Invitational. Now, they're the top dog. Everybody wants to beat them. Everybody has high expectations of Mkers, and they're not being able to make those expectations come true just yet. It's not over yet.
I think a main team in Challenge League so far is that the underdog's been performing really well.
I love it.
Could Acend be the underdog in this game, you reckon?
Acend is the underdog. I mean, look at all the predictions of us. Look at all the predictions of the people back home. Everybody expected Mkers to take it home here. And so far, Acend is leading. It's only a 2-round lead, though, and Mkers needs to win this round and that round lead, and it's only a 1-round lead. And, 1-round lead, you can wipe that quite easily away. So nothing too crazy just yet. Nothing too crazy.
Looking to take control over Solar. There's no real player in the trophy contesting that. However, there's Surya gates on the Solar window, so you'll need to deal with those first. Drone being set up in trophy just to make sure that nobody sneaks up on those Solar stairs. Shade now positions himself on this big window. Could potentially hold off a lot of flanks coming through Piano, and Sasha needs to be careful. He was dancing around in Piano, but Gemini has a C4. Also lies aside towards that big window. Could potentially do a lot of damage, but Shade needs to play this carefully as well.
Still repelling on that big window and could be run out of, or, could be killed by a vertical angle, or could be killed by a C4. It's Gemini taking some damage. They know on the side of Acend that Gemini is indeed playing here in that kitchen. And it's all up to Ice, and oh no, Ice on the Finca, and you know how scary he can be with that LMG in his hand.
Has a nade still in play as well, but Lalo playing there as well. Shade, however, with the opening kill onto Scado. 0-7 is not ideal. No, not ideal on a game like this. Lalo, though, it gets taken, it hurts a little bit with the damage. But Gemini is playing this fairly aggressive, knowing that there is a player in trophy. He will also fall to the gun of enemy. Now Mkers are looking at a 3-man disadvantage. 2-man disadvantage.
2-man disadvantage indeed, and it might just become a 1-man disadvantage. Oh, how does Shade survive there? It was a matter of a few inches. It's Gemini that gets the fall as well. Now Sasha takes some damage as well. It's going from bad to worse here for Mkers. They're in a 2 versus 5 situation. Only 52 seconds left though on the side of Acend. Plenty of time actually to get those remaining 2 frags. And very well played there from Ice. He kept being on a drone, kept staying, quite away from the 2 players. Oh,
Enemy,
indeed. Oh no, Sasha goes down. Lalo does get the kill though. Now needs to clutch it, and it's Acend winning another round. What I was gonna say though, and Ice played that really well. He was in trophy, and he knew exactly that there were 2 players near kitchen and dining. He didn't have to peek. He was using his drone to see where they exactly were. He saw that Gemini was peeking quite aggressively, and said, you know what, I'm not gonna peek you. You can try and keep peeking me. And, you make those 2 defenders that are downstairs quite nervous, right? They're getting droned. They're like, oh no, I'm about to, get pushed. But Ice didn't even peek. He just waited, held an angle, and eventually one of the players walked into his crosshair and he was able to get that kill. And we're 2 rounds away from an upset here.
Oh my.
Mkers, their mental game, shambles.
I don't know why the Melusi in a 1v3 is peeking that window with a pistol. A pistol? Like...
It shows that you're not there. It's not the winning mentality, Anne. They're like, you know what? We've lost this round. Let me just try and have a hero play with a pistol. It's not the winning mentality. They're missing it right now. Acend wants this. Acend wants this. And Mkers, they gave us an impression. They said, yeah, we want it, but we only want the first map. I thought it was a different Mkers after they got shooken awake by a reply totem. It's not. It really isn't. It's Acend leading.
What an interesting side setup is coming out for Mkers here. They basically made a tunnel onto this library hallway here, castling it off as well. Some reinforcements onto the off as well. They also have a Goyo shield with some lines of sight onto the hatch that have it reinforced. This is very interesting top floor hold coming out from Mkers, but enemies looking to clear that out ASAP as he's already onto that big library window. Akui is just running out, not finding Mello ever. He gets killed by Mello. Akui, why are you running out there?
And you know what? They have a Finka. Finka will just heal himself again, and there's no damage done. So he'll say, oh, yeah, I lit up Ace. I mean, I lit up the Finka, and he's low HP. No, he's not. He's going to heal himself up. That was a waste. A big waste. Wow. Wow. Now Lolo dies as well. Oh my goodness. And are we going to see the upset? Are we really going to see that upset? Wait. Woo! What a beautiful kill. Return kill here from Gemini. But I was just going to say, are we going to see an upset with a substitute on the side of Acend?
I don't know. It could well be. The diffuser, however, dropped on the library balcony. Shay looking to take control there, going for the kill onto Gemini. He's just able to walk into library. A lot of control being established really quickly, and Scato, a lot of pressure on his hands now. On the top of the library stairs, has that shield, but there is a sledge right in that box. Could just easily break open that castle barricade. They know that a player is downstairs as well. He's being droned out. Scato is not responding to the fact that there's a drone right in front of him. He needs to be very careful here. Pops that Goyo shield and goes back towards the side. Already being shot down a little bit as well. Gets taken down. Ravon now. It's a 1v4 for Sasha. It's smoke that isn't ideal. Two of the cannons are still left in his hands, but top 4 control very well established in the hands. It's Mello to get the easy pick on the Sasha. This is not looking good for Mkers.
1 round. Oh my goodness. 1 round. And they have 4 opportunities. Wow.
Yeah, but if they make a singular mistake, this is map point. This is match point. You can't make a singular mistake.
Point. This is Challenger League point for Mkers. Wow.
Seems to be slipping out of their hands the way they set up a very creative side defense. But then they allow players just walk into library. He had a castle there. Castle was flashed.
Wait.
Played it safely.
I'm sorry, I'm going to interrupt you.
Yeah?
Let's not forget about the Goyo jump out. What was that about?
I mean, if you are with your back against the wall, there's 2 things you can do. You can play very traditional siege, you can play it normally, or you can just be very aggressive and not let the attackers take any ground. He was expecting someone to just mindlessly run towards library and get that easy pick, but if you're outside, you're detected within a second.
But then do it as a team, as a cohesion. You had the Goyo jump out, get killed, and then the rest of the defenders were like, you know what, we're just going to sit in sight. You know, we just lost a man. No, that's when you have to take those risks. When you're a man down, that's when you have to take those risks. But just sitting in library, getting fragged, I mean, Acend wants this. They want this, and they're about to get it.
And I like to see aggression, right, from Mkers, and it might be just that one little thing that you need to get yourself further closer to this overtime, but that is just over-aggression. You do not need to be running out of windows there. Scato going 0-8 on the Jaeger. That is not ideal. Akui, a player that stepped up massively for Mkers before, going 3-8. That is far from ideal. Eyes knows there might be another one of those crazy plays coming out from Mkers, just carefully paying attention to the window, but Shade does not want to waste any longer here. He's already in the stock, going towards Bar, looking for a very horizontal take, and this could very well be the last round in this game.
It is. I can't even phantom it. It is crazy. We see Ravon using his Twitch drone here, clearing the mute jammer, or at least also the Kate claw right over here. Lines it up, waits. And that's interesting. Waits for enemy to get a little bit closer, but says, you know what, I can just get rid of one of those two, and then we'll see what happens from there. Enemy is now indeed a little bit closer, has to wait a little bit. They have to make sure that there's nobody around, that enemy can just, You see that Shade is on Overwatch pretty much. Continuously on the drone, giving the call like, yes, you can open the site up. The site is now wide open. Nobody is sitting in B, and they can't. There's only one player on site. The rest is kind of holding the top floor. They, of course, have the vertical angles. But Acend could just go for a very crazy plant over here, Anne. They, of course, have...
No, they can't.
Well, I mean, they could run into site. They could run in a little bit deeper into site. I mean, you can't just hold everything from the top.
No, but Lolo's got so many lines aside. They're not just going to be able to walk in there. They need to get this office breach. They need to force Lolo out of office. As long as he cannot hold onto these vertical lines aside, they can take the site. There is no smoke in the hands of Mkers. There's no real plan denial except for a C4 in the hands of Sasha as well as Gemini. They need to play close to the site. They need to make sure they stay alive as soon as it execute onto the site comes out.
A minute remaining, and it is Acend here who get the opening kill with eyes. Beautiful nade here on Lolo. And with that, the vertical angles have been pretty much cleared. You still have a Gemini there who can hold those vertical angles, but Mello will try to get a nade kill here as well. And Aqui doesn't really do any damage, and it's now Mello with the kill on Aqui. And now it's all up to the three remaining players on Mkers. And now Gemini goes down as well. The defuse will go down shortly because you hear the smokes being popped off. It is now a 2 versus 4 situation. Sasha with a huge kill there, but it's that same Sasha who's to clutch it up. A 1 versus 3 right now. Acend is ascending from hell, and Acend goes to the lower bracket semi-final. They can play against Hellraisers, and it is Mkers who goes home.
Mkers are eliminated.
Wow!
Challenger League, and I don't think anyone would have expected that coming into these Challenger League playoffs. A lot of people were rooting and waiting for Mkers to take this all, but they are going home.
Wow.
Very unexpected.